What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Rover Sports, and I got my good friend. I'm going to call you Stevie Hoops. This is your nickname today, but I got Steve Shoemaker on the show. Going to turn up my volume actually on this space, and we are going to be listening to calls here on the headphones. But Steve, how you doing today, man?
Doing good, Spence. Thanks for having me back on. It's been a while.
Yeah, of course. And you guys can call into the show. So, Steve, we are live on multiple platforms. You see, we are here now on YouTube. Chris Senor, see, that's a kid from San Francisco. He's calling in. It's just an excuse to pretty much
Poppy
be with
Goat.
my friends. Yeah, Poppy Goat. I guess he's a Laker fan, right? So,
Right.
A bunch of these kids. What do you think about Kawhi? Is he going to L.A.?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, there's so much talk about it. I could see him staying in Toronto. I could see him going to L.A., leaning a little bit more towards the Clippers, in my opinion. But anything could happen at this
Clips?
point. Yeah, the Clips.
Oh, gosh. Oh, no, I'd actually like that. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that. I want him to go to the Clippers.
Their team rebuilding, just like the Brooklyn Nets are doing. You see everything that's happened to them in free agency, and you got
Sorry,
that.
just trying to control the board a little bit here. But I really want to see the I don't know if it's the Clipper. I want to see him go to the Clippers. Okay, that's what I want to see happen.
It's interesting to see what that lineup would look like, though. Lou Williams refuses to move out of that six-man spot. He loves winning that award.
Right.
But
and then Shea Gilgeous Alexander.
Yeah, they're a young team, and I think they could learn a lot from Kawhi. I don't think they'd be as talented as the Raptors were this year, especially with how loaded that Western Conference is, man. But I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him bounce around.
I don't want to see him go to the Lakers because I think the league will be unfair. I think they'll just win the title.
Yeah, I could see that. Sort of similar to what happened with Chris Paul back in the day when David Stern would let him go to the Lakers because they were already too good. So it's kind of like that. But it'd be cool to see how good the Lakers will be this year with how awful they were last year. So,
yeah, I don't want to see Kawhi though go to the Lakers. Do you?
No.
We got a call coming in here right now. Let's see who's calling us. Thank you for calling in the Rover Sports.
Hey, this is Wes and Scott on the line.
Get out of here. Do you know you're on with Steve Shoemaker as well? You're on with Steve Shoemaker and Wes. How's everything hanging? How's it going?
Everything's good. Are we on the air right now?
We're on the air, Wes.
Yeah, there's no stepping back right now.
Yeah, we are actually currently in the middle of an epic 2K draft.
2K draft? What the hell is that? Like, are you doing like a
NBA 2K?
dynasty between you and Biss?
Yep, we're playing with rookies. So my first pick was Zion.
Is it
straight rookies?
Edwards or Ty Jerome?
What did he ask me?
Carson Edwards or Ty Jerome?
I got
Carson Edwards.
I got to go with Edwards too. He has more pop in that game. It depends if you're building like a Euro team, Biss. If you're building like a slow, if you want to play with just like, if you want to play with like smarts and wit, then you need to go with Ty Jerome. But if you want to get up and down, it's got to be Carson Edwards.
I couldn't agree more.
I'll take the advice here. So my team is Bull, and Taco Fall, Spencer.
Taco Fall is incredible.
I can't believe that guy wasn't drafted. I mean, I thought Taco Fall is awesome, but you're building a big team. I think you got to go Carson Edwards then. But Wes won't be able to guard you, I don't think.
No, I picked. I have Clint Capella and Boban to combat it.
To match him?
Yeah, I mean, I got to do what I got to do.
I love it. So what do you guys think about free agency?
Pretty easy.
We're just waiting on Kawhi,
Did you see that report from that Reddit guy yesterday that like he mortgaged his whole life and his whole future on 12,000 retweets? Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I don't want Kawhi going to LA. It'll be unfair for the league. But what do you guys think? You think it'll be unfair?
I honestly have no idea what he's going to do. I don't think anyone ever does. So
Hey, Biss, I want you to give me some life advice. I just turned 25 today. Like, what would you say to 25-year-old Biss?
I'd say 25-year-old Biss is be smart and don't get too preoccupied in what's going on right now. Focus on a longer-term vision.
Do you mean with like the political land? What the hell's right now?
I'm saying like right now, you're probably so focused about what's happening tomorrow and focus on what's going to happen in 15 years. That's the best life advice I can give.
I'm going to cry. That's just beautiful. Focus on literally today and not tomorrow is exactly your message.
Beautiful.
Is this this is the birthday road?
This is my birthday show. It means a lot to have you guys call in. It does.
No, yeah, we're honored. We're honored you're on. I'm down to talk topics, whatever you want.
Let's do it. I got Steve Shue here, so we're going to be bouncing around. A lot of people trying to get into the show today. But Wes, we talked a little bit about the NBA. We got Summer League coming up. So I wanted to talk to. Are you guys were you guys excited for NBA free agency? Are you excited for the Summer League? Like, what were you doing? What were you doing this Sunday when all the news was dropping from Woj and everything?
So it's funny. I mean, everything really dropped before 6:00. So it was kind of like everyone knew where Durant, Kemba, Kyrie, everybody except for, Kawhi. And obviously the big domino that dropped at 6:00 was Thaddeus Young to the Bulls. But,
that was the biggest domino to drop. I think that Chicago now, they're going to be a threat in the East right now.
Really?
I think that obviously I'm a big Bulls fan, so I'm always focused on them. I think they work their way into 7-8 seed. If they get like another shooter, I think they're on their way.
I think they're going to win maybe one playoff game this year, which is really exciting.
Yeah, get the young guys some reps. And Satoransky was a good signing. He's going to probably start. Let Kobe come off the bench. And then I think they're going to try to trade Chris Dunn. So, it's a good time.
The Chris Dunn era was fantastic.
Chris Dunn era was great. He had like 3 good games. Yeah, but
what do you think about and their coach? I don't even know. Wasn't their coach terrible? Why didn't they solve their coach?
Jim Boylan. He's he doesn't really take any prisoners, so he's all business.
Have you guys been playing some hoops in New York? Have you noticed like a Nets buzz, like when you're out playing pickup and stuff?
No, there really still isn't any Nets buzz. It's always going to be a Knicks town, and unfortunately, the Knicks will never get anybody.
Would you say the Knicks are like that guy with the rich grandfather that hasn't like accomplished anything but think they've accomplished everything?
Yeah,
a whole lot in the,
if you look at like the last
Julius Randle's about it.
If you look at like the last 10, 20 years, the Nets have been a much better franchise. So the Knicks, all they've ever done is lose the Pacers in the second round.
Hey, Wes, thanks so much for calling in, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Spen.
Big night ahead.
It's going to be. The town might end, and I want to thank you. I think Steve Shue, I'm with Steve Shue here. I think that the town might crash to the ground the night after my birthday. What do you think?
Yeah. It's always a celebration, national holiday when Spencer Gerstinger's birthday comes around.
I was thinking, like, I went to the deli today. I was thinking they would give me a standing O today.
No, how'd that go?
Well, matzo ball soup. Yeah. That's what it was all about. You lead us in. You greet the call.
Welcome into Rover Sports. What would you like to talk about today?
Yo, what's going on, Rover? It's Senior here.
It's AKA Chris Senor. He's a big Chargers fan.
Big Chargers fan. Welcome on the show, man.
Yeah. Well, happy birthday, Spence. The city is probably gonna crash when on your birthday. Downtown it's gonna become lit. It's gonna be Rover Sports Town. By the end of the day, it's gonna be Rover Sports Town. Rover for president. But anyways, the big topic right now, it's definitely Kawhi. Might be going to LA. He might be staying with us. I mean, I really want him to stay with us, but I think he is staying with Toronto because people have been saying, oh yeah, he's meeting with LA first and stuff like that. He's still gonna meet with Toronto, but I think he's saving Toronto for last because I think he really just wants to come here. LA is nice and all, the Clippers are looking like a good team. The Lakers are looking like a really good team. But I think he's staying with Toronto. I think he wants to win a couple more championships, and I think we're going to win at least like 2 more or 3 more possibly with Kawhi. Our starting 5 is looking really good. Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet might become our point guard. Ibaka, Hernandez, or Gasol can be starting for center, and Kawhi, and then I think that's pretty much it. But I think he's staying with us. And if he doesn't, oh well. I also got a championship, and yeah.
Well, Senor, I'm gonna throw it over here to Steve, but I really don't think Kawhi's staying in Toronto anymore. He's taking all these messages with other teams. What do you think?
Senor, something I'd like to ask you is you bring up the point that you think Kawhi will stay in Toronto and bring you guys some more championships, but why do you think he would stay in Toronto and not go to a place like the Lakers where you have a higher probability when you surround yourself with players like LeBron and Anthony Davis to win a championship?
He's already come out and said that he doesn't want to join a super team like the Lakers. And what I see is that the Lakers have 2 good players, Anthony Davis and LeBron James. If Kawhi doesn't play a week up to his Kawhi level, if he's not playing as good as he normally is, I think he's gonna get heavily criticized, and people are gonna kind of drop him and just start liking LeBron and AD more than Kawhi. And Kawhi wants to run his own team. Kawhi wants to be like Jimmy Butler. He wants to have his own team. He wants to lead his own team and stuff like that. And I think he just doesn't fit well with LeBron and AD. Because Kawhi's a quiet dude, and LeBron's he's a dude who likes to talk a lot, stuff like that. I don't see him mixing with LeBron James.
Yeah, and I think that it'll kind of ruin Kawhi because I thought that Kawhi was better than joining the super team. I thought that he was a super team killer. So to have him join the Lakers will just kind of be sad, and then they'll win those championships. Yeah. It'll be hollow for Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think Toronto. Besides the Spurs championship, this championship with against the Heat was it was good and everything. He was defeating the super team. A team with Chris Bosh, LeBron James, and Dwayne Wade. But Toronto's championship, he was going against you could say injury prone players and stuff like that. But I think the Toronto championship with us meant a lot because he's playing with teammates that nobody even knows. Like who was Fred VanVleet a year ago? Who was Pascal Siakam a year ago? Who was Ibaka a year ago? And who was Gasol a year ago? He's playing with teammates that aren't even relevant in the NBA. So I think this is probably his favorite championship out of the 2 because he's playing with a team that's don't judge a book by its cover. It's just Fred VanVleet. He looks like he's a small dude and stuff like that, but he can shoot threes and Siakam was underrated and stuff like that. It's just I think Kawhi really he really impacts.
Yes, Senor, I want to thank you so much for calling in to the show. I'd like for him to maybe stay with Toronto as well, and thanks so much for the call, man. I appreciate it. So, Steve, right now we are going to kind of do a little back and forth here before we accept a lot of more callers. But you look at Kawhi, I think that would be a weak move if he were to join the Lakers.
Yeah, I think this is just me being biased as a Sixers fan, but it looks like the Raptors, not taking anything away from them, they got hot at the right time. They played great team basketball, great defensive team, but in my opinion, they got lucky. That game-winning shot that Kawhi hit the rim about 1,000 times. It was in the air for about a year until it went in to take the Sixers down. That was big. They took down Giannis. They weren't going to beat the Warriors, in my opinion, if they stayed healthy. I don't see that happening. But
yeah, neither do I.
You can't take anything
but I think
away
the
from
Sixers
them.
they fairly beat because of Game 5. Like that was the Sixers didn't show up in Game 5.
Yeah, the Sixers didn't really show up all series, in my opinion. But
maybe Game 3, Game 2.
They took down the Sixers, their top team. They took down the best team in the Bucks, and they beat the back-to-back champion Golden State Warriors. So you can't take anything away from them, but I don't see them repeating this year.
Did you love the Al Horford signing? What were you? Did you love it? Were you lukewarm about it? What do you think about that?
I was lukewarm about it. Seeing Jimmy go was tough. Hearing from the Sixers that they didn't want to offer him 5-year contract, max contract was tough. Hearing that, but Al Horford, you get a veteran who has a lot of experience, a lot to teach Embiid, a lot to add to the team. They go from being an offensive team to a defensive team this year. So it's interesting to see how he fits into the lineup. I think they're gonna do a type of lineup like the Celtics did, where they had like Aaron Baines at the 5 and then Horford at the 4. That might be what they do with Embiid. Embiid loves playing at the top of the key. He loves shooting those threes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they play together.
I think Al's got to hit threes, but like when a team goes small against the Sixers, that's when they're really going to be tested. Like look at Boston. They're going to start like Grant Williams at center. So then if you have a lineup of like Kemba, Marcus Smart, like Hayward, Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, like who the heck is like Al Horford gonna guard?
Right.
You know,
they're gonna play grab and go type basketball. They're gonna be a very fast team. They're gonna try to beat us up the floor, but when it comes to playing in the paint, that's where we'll be at our best.
Feibel needs to go ahead and Feibel needs to kind of compete, and he needs to. Feibel needs to come alive, and also Zaire Smith is going to have to help out this Sixers team. This team lost J.J. Redick. I don't know how Josh Richardson's going to do. I didn't love the free agency. I didn't love it, to be honest. I didn't love the Al Horford because he's going to be 37 years old. He's making $28 million when he's going to be 37. He's already 33 years old. And this Josh Richardson guy, he could be like a Covington. He could disrupt the entire offense. I wanted Tyler Hero. I don't know if you saw Summer League, but I wanted Hero or Bam in that trade from the Miami Heat.
We're definitely going to be struggling a little bit this year with our shooting. They just gave Ben Simmons a max contract, which is huge for us. I like that.
But
move.
do you like that? I like that
move a lot.
Yeah. So do I. I like the Tobias contract as well.
Tobias contract I like a lot. Getting rid of Jimmy freed up all that space for us. But in terms of shooting, losing JJ, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how we do this year with that.
You ready to thrust on the callers?
Yeah, bring them up.
Let's do it. All right, we got the call-in number is now wide open. We are going an hour here with Steve. You ready to go an hour? You all right, man?
Let's do it, baby.
40 more minutes. We're gonna trap you here for another 40 minutes. But Steve Shue, he's from here, Muhlenberg degree. Both went to Muhlenberg. I'll say it right now. We're Muhlenberg Mules, and pick up basketball. Teammates, you're a guy that can stretch the floor a little bit. We're pretty similar in terms of our basketball pedigree, probably.
Yeah, a little Jewish white corners, 2 or 3s. That's what we do. We have our roles.
I want it to be like a Tyler Hero if I could, or like Klay Thompson. That's too stereotypical though of pickup basketball. But I want to be like a Ron Baker or something. How you doing? Welcome into Rover.
What is going on, Spencer? It's the entertainer.
It's Tainer.
It's Tainer.
Give us a little stand up for the fans, please.
Stand up, Rover sports fans. What is going on? Who's your buddy?
My buddy's name is Steve Shoemaker.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. Just wanted to call in and just talk to you about, I guess, free agency as a whole. Obviously, I'm a diehard Knicks fan. We were talking about this for months leading up into the draft, till free agency. And all Knicks fans were hoping that we would end up, obviously, with the 2 guys that the Nets got. But I will say, looking at it from a glass half full approach, I actually think the Knicks did a pretty good job with the hand that they were dealt. They didn't do what they've done in the past and waste that money on long-term contracts like they did with Amari Stoudemire with the 2 bum knees. Tim Hardaway Jr., they signed guys to short-term deals that I think will actually make the Knicks a more competitive team than I think people think. And not that they're going to be competing for a championship, but I think it's going to help the maturation of the younger players, being that they have some established veterans around. I think it'll help Knox grow, Barrett grow, Robinson grow. I actually like what the Knicks did. Obviously I wanted the big guys, but after they missed out, I think they did a pretty good job getting the guys they did. They got some good 3-and-D guys, with Bullock and obviously Ellington. Obviously, everybody talks about Randall. I thought he was, a solid pickup on a 3-year deal, 2-year opt. They could opt out after 2 years. But yeah, overall, I think the Knicks did a pretty good job.
I'm kind of curious your take on how you think the Knicks are going to do this year. The East is not, the stronger conference. It's not that hard to see them. Just try to see the Knicks battle for, a playoff spot. Obviously, it's not seem realistic for them to make the playoffs this year. But how long do you think it'll take for the Knicks? Do you think it'll take 5 years? Do you think it'll take longer than that for them to make the playoffs? Where do you see them in the next?
Oh, no. I think I'm not picking it, but I wouldn't be shocked if they make the playoffs this year. I'm not picking it, but I think they could contend for an 8 seed in that weak Eastern Conference, 7-8 seed. You look at teams this year. Who thought the Magic would make the playoffs, right? Even the Nets, nobody thought they'd make the playoffs going into the year. They were kind of on equal footing with the Knicks going into the year. So I'm not saying it will happen, but it's not an impossibility. It's going to come down to – yeah, go ahead, Spence.
Let's list the playoff teams right now that are locks, because I actually agree with you. I think the Knicks should be I think they should be the 6th seed in this damn conference. You have the Pacers, Raptors. I don't actually know about the Toronto Raptors. If they lose Kawhi Leonard, they're going to be on the brink of missing the playoffs. Maybe the Knicks can be better than the Toronto Raptors, because then you have Lowry and all these older guys. I just see Pacers, Sixers, Celtics, and Milwaukee. Those are the only four that I think are locks. And then I think you have to grab that 6th seed. Why should you lose to the Magic? Why? Why should you lose? I think your team could even beat Kyrie and beat the Nets. I think that should be the expectation, is a 6th seed.
I think they're in that mix. I'd obviously favor the Nets over them. The Nets obviously made the playoffs last year. They added Kyrie. They did lose Russell, so it's like Kyrie's a better player, but they didn't improve that much for this year's team. But I'd have to put the Nets above the Knicks. Toronto, I'd still put above the Knicks even without Kawhi. But I get your point. I could see the Knicks being in competition with a team like Toronto if they were to lose Kawhi. But I still think they'd be above them. But I do think the Knicks will be in the mix for that 8 seed, 6, 7, 8 seed in that range. I'm not saying they will do it, but I wouldn't be shocked because they did add a lot. They added 6 players to the team, and all of them are established veterans for the most part that are productive players at the NBA level. And obviously, I think Barrett's going to add a lot to this team, and you hope Knox takes a big step forward year 1 to year 2. And in terms of competing for an actual championship, obviously they're nowhere near that. But I could see if they draft well, it's all going to come down to how they draft, because they have 7 draft picks in the next 4 years in the first round. If they can hit on some of these picks, there's no reason to think they can't compete for a title in 2 or 3 years. I would say 3 years. If they could add 1 or 2 big ticket free agents, which I think they will be able to do if they could establish good young talent, something they've never been able to do. But if they can do that, which it seems like they're starting to, with Barrett, Knox, and Robinson, they had another piece next year. They signed some young players into Julius Randle. I think that they may have the ability to attract at least 1 big free agent in the next couple of years.
And the thing that I think is huge is that you guys have those draft picks, because there's a chance that Paul George is not going to be happy. CJ McCollum is not paid yet, and some of these guys are going to get insecure. You also look at Jaylen Brown. The Celtics have too many small forwards right now. So, stars get pissed off so easily. So I think that the franchise comes down to R.J. Barrett. It comes down to the coach. R.J. Barrett, to me, I really think he can get 22 points a game this year. I look at him as being a next, I look at him as possibly a Kobe Bryant type of generational player. He's been groomed for this moment, groomed for success. What do you think about the Knicks, possibly an in-season trade? And have you thought about a Paul George, or about picking somebody off of a team already with a trade?
Yeah, well, the one guy you keep hearing, and not necessarily to the Knicks, but the one guy you hear a lot that, is a borderline superstar that they've been looking to trade for a while is Bradley Beal. I'm not sure of his contract situation off the top of my head, but that would be a guy, if he became available, I'd be interested in. Obviously, they're looking to get rid of John Wall with his horrible contract, but I'd have no interest in that. That's one guy off the top of my head that I could see potentially being traded this season. If they may trade him trying to get rid of the Wall contract along with him. But if I'm the Knicks, I'm patient. I don't trade for any players with bad contracts. I continue to build through the draft. I don't trade any of those picks. I think they're too valuable. I think they need those picks. I think the Knicks need to be patient. There's no reason to rush the process. You're nowhere near winning a championship. Just keep doing the right thing. That's the approach I think they have to take, and it's nice that they're kind of forced into taking that approach now. Obviously, I was rooting for Kevin Durant just as much as anybody else, and Kyrie Irving, because when you get the opportunity to sign top 10 players, you got to jump at it. But I'm pleased that the Knicks didn't do what they've done in the past, where when they miss on those players, they panic and they sign second-tier players to 4 or 5 year contracts. Had they signed like a Tobias Harris or a Kemba Walker, I would not have been happy to a 4 or 5 year deal.
Yeah, and Chris, what I was going to say about one more question that I wanted to ask you. Thanks so much for calling into the show. It's always great to have you. And we're going to do separate segments where I interview you. I wanted to ask about the Brooklyn Nets and your rivalry with them. When the Nets had Jason Kidd, were you ever envious? Were you ever jealous or pissed off at Nets fans? Are you preparing for the bandwagon of Nets fans? And when the Nets had it rolling at the Continental Airlines Arena, how did you view them? Did you view them as a New York Jets, or do you view them kind of differently?
I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't view the Jets as a rival. You know that. I always say I'm obviously a Giants fan just like you, but I don't root against the Jets. I never have. I never viewed the Nets as a rival ever, especially when they played in Jersey. As a Knicks fan, the Bulls were more of a rival growing up in the '90s. The Celtics, the Heat, the Pacers. In terms of the Nets, I will say there may be a rivalry starting to form here, especially after they went out and they grabbed the 2 guys that we wanted, right? So there may be something brewing here. Also, obviously, their owner's very outspoken. When he came to town, he put up all the posters and everything else. So, yeah, I think that the rivalry has amped up a little bit, especially since they moved to Brooklyn. But I still don't view it as a premium, a top-tier type rivalry. Not yet, but it may be in the future.
All righty, Chris. I want to thank you so much for calling in, man. You're the best, and your channel's rolling, and I want to thank you so much for calling in, bro.
Oh, man, yeah, thank you for having me, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing, man. You guys are doing great, man. I'm enjoying listening to you guys on my lunch break, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
A little bit of a late lunch for Mr. Tainer. I got somebody like a guest trying to call into the show. So this number right here, you can continue to wait. I mean, the Knicks, the Knicks fans, like Tainer's one of the really good fans. I think that you've known Knicks fans your whole life. A lot of your friends are Knicks fans. Do you think that they're a little bit annoying or kind of chirpy? I mean, I know that a lot of people are good fans. But what do you think about that?
You could say the same thing about the Sixers when they were at their worst, going through the whole trust the process and the whole rebuilding. And, that's the thing about being loyal to a fan base is that you stick with them even through the bad years. And you just hope, once you start getting those top picks like the Sixers did through that whole era.
I think the Knicks fans are chirpy, though. I think that they, for the most part, are pretty chirpy.
You have to be chirpy to defend your team. But, maybe I'm just saying this because I'm a Sixers fan. But there's no chance the Knicks make the playoffs this year. There's no chance of that.
Wow, I'm going to bet you on that. I hope I might be right. I mean, I don't know the betting lines. We got a very special guest calling into the show. This is a kid that I met a couple weeks ago. He's actually was a former collegiate player at Northwestern State. He actually played in the NCAA tournament. His name is David. I think your name is Bobby. I forget his last name, but David, man, you're one of my good buddies, and Northwestern State, and announce yourself to Rover, man.
What's going on, guys?
What's your last name?
I can't say. No, I'm just gonna stay as David. Not gonna be anonymous.
All right, David Anonymous, welcome. You're on Rover. What would you like to talk about?
Well, Dave's a big Knicks guy, but yeah, talk about free agency, Dave, and it's great to have you on.
No, I think free agency has been very, very interesting this year. I think it was pretty obvious once Durant went down with the injury, he was leaving the Warriors. Went to the Nets over these reports that the Knicks, for some reason, didn't feel that he was a value of he wasn't entitled to a max contract. Bizarre. But either way, free agency has been pretty crazy. Kemba goes to the Celtics, which I think vastly improves the Celtics long term. You know, then you get the sneakiest move of all, which I've talked to you, Spence, about. I think it's, the Warriors had no other move. They go out, they sign D'Angelo Russell. I think it's an under-the-radar move. I think it will, whether they move him long-term or they keep him, it's going to allow them to stay a championship contender for years to come. Once Clay comes back in February, March, whenever he does come back, if they move D'Angelo for a few pieces, hey, you know what? They got something back for KD. They didn't lose him for nothing. Or if they keep him, that's going to be one hard offense to stop. But
how do you think that D'Angelo is going to fit into that Warriors lineup?
I'm really not sure that I'm not sure that he's going to fit. I'm not sure that they signed him to necessarily fit. I think that they just completely realize Kevin Durant, you can't lose him for zero. That's your only move you can make. You can't go out and sign another free agent because you're maxed over the cap out to wazoo. So it's kind of a take it or leave it, and it will be a test run. I'm not sure that it necessarily works. A lot of things I'm reading is he could be traded by the trade deadline already. I don't think that the Warriors themselves necessarily think it's going to work, but it is definitely going to be interesting.
Because now you have 2 point guards. I think it's going to be very entertaining. If they traded Russell for picks, that's actually genius. Because if they never got Russell, they would never get the haul that they need. And you told me that you thought before D'Angelo joined that you thought that this team wasn't a playoff team at all. So if you were the Warriors, would you look to just get those picks? And what do you do with Draymond?
Draymond, if I'm the Warriors, I was watching First Take today, so I'm not going to take this credit for myself. Stephen A. Smith brings up one of his few good points because usually he just gets beside himself and, you can never actually tell what he's talking about. If I'm the Warriors, I'm trying to get him to sign an extension today because apparently if you wait another year, his max dollar goes up exponentially. If he signs an extension today, he gets like starting in the 2020-2021 season, gets 4 years, about $104 million. It gives him the security, But at the same time, he hits free agency. If someone actually values him at full max, he could get that 4-year, $140 contract. But does anyone other than the Warriors really value him at that much? I'm not sure at this point, But if I'm the Warriors, I'm trying to sign Draymond to an extension today.
So, Dave, I wanted to ask you this question about the New York Knicks. One, I want to know the specifics of why James Dolan sucks. I want you to give me 3 top James Dolan stories. You're a lifelong Knicks fan. What would you say to kind of encourage your franchise? And then 2, would you sign Draymond next year, or do you wait till 2021? How do you kind of approach this going forward?
Well, I don't know if I have any great top James Dolan stories other than my heart breaks every time. Every time I see the Knicks do something, it kind of breaks. Well, one of my good friends got kicked out of the Garden and banned for life for yelling James Dolan sucks, and he just turned around and banned him for life. So
wait, is he that? Did he go viral? That kid?
He's not the. There's a couple that went viral. I don't think he is the one that went viral, but yeah, there is. There are a couple of those type of stories, but yeah, he'll
was
kick
he
anybody
near
out.
James? Did he see Dolan and say it to his face, or was it
He didn't say it to his face, but he just yelled it. Probably Dolan was about, he was probably about the 10th row. Dolan's in the first row, and just kick the guy out for life. That's kind of what James Dolan does. When anyone ever points him out, he cries. He cries the blues. And
do you respect your friend? That's kind of a badge of honor, maybe.
What?
Is that a badge of honor? Does your friend love being that kid?
I think he became a Nets fan that day. He's just, it is what it is. James Dolan, I don't like talking about him. I hope at some point over the next couple of seasons he sells the team. He can, do what he did on draft night a few years ago. He's big into music. He can make all the music he wants with that money, and just hopefully he sells the team. I actually think, other than you strike out with Durant, which, that's a big miss. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I really love what the Knicks have done since that point in free agency. You haven't committed any big money to second tier max guys like a Tobias Harris, who was always re-signed with what's called the Sixers, or Jimmy Butler. You go out, you pay too much for a DeMarcus Cousins, someone like that. You sign Julius Randle to basically ends up being half of a max contract, who I think is an absolute stud. He just last year really emerged with the New Orleans Pelicans, and then they got a bunch of nice little pieces: Reggie Bullock, Peyton, along with R.J. Barrett, Knox, and Mitchell Robinson. Next thing you know, they could be a back end playoff team, and then in 2021, I think you kind of look at it the way the New Jersey Nets went about it. They had some success. You didn't build from no free agent is going to sign with a team that won 17 games. No big time free agent. The Greek Freak will never sign with the Knicks if they're winning 17 games a year. So you got to show some success, some viability. I think that's what the Knicks are doing now. They'll go out, they'll win their 39 to 41 games this year. Hopefully be an 8 seed, maybe not, and kind of go from there. But it is encouraging for the first time in a while that there might be a baby step into the right direction.
Right on. I want to thank you, Dave, for calling me, man. It was a great talk. Appreciate you calling
Great talking to you, bud. Have a good one.
All righty, Steve. We're going to carry this show out on our own right now. I want to thank everybody for the calls. I'm sorry that we weren't able to get to everybody, but let's just do a straight back and forth because I have you here in studio. And I kind of apologize for having too many callers at some points, man.
Hey,
so
it's a hot show. Your birthday. A lot of callers want to talk to you, man.
I guess it's just my birthday,
Yeah.
Do you think birthdays are cool?
Yeah, I think it's the one day a year where people actually like you. So
Maybe,
yeah.
but I don't like the Facebook. Like all these random people on Facebook are now going to greet me, and I have to kind of be nice to these people that you don't even think about. Like all that unwanted attention. Like, do you think that actually is worthwhile?
I think so. I think you could also you could take it deeper and get a little bit sentimental about it. Think about it's the day you were brought into this world, and if you didn't have that one day, you might not be here right now.
Or if I didn't have my parents. It's crazy to look at your parents in that kind of light. We have 10 people in the chat right now. Let's talk a little bit about some sports. You want to talk summer league or fantasy football? Because I'm going to grill you on some summer or fantasy football questions.
I was actually doing a couple mock drafts today, a couple mockies. So if you want to swing it to fantasy football, I'm all ears.
So what spot were you in the mock? How do you get prepared for a little mock?
So I'm in a couple fantasy leagues. So every year we kind of just pick out of a hat. I don't know.
Yeah, not to brag. I have 40. You're in 4 fantasy leagues. You have all those friends.
So you have so many different picks, so it's hard to focus on that one pick. But it's cool to bounce around and just see what players you could get if you had the first pick, if you had the 5th pick, if you had the 10th pick. So today I did one and I had the 9th pick. So it's cool to do that. And usually the way they have it set up this year, and it's usually like this every year, but usually the top wide receivers are falling towards the end of the first round. You think about someone like Antonio Brown, he was always a top 5 pick in fantasy, and this year they have him between 10 and 15. So it's interesting to see where a player of his caliber will go.
Yeah, because with Derek Carr, you've seen guys just fall off the map and suck, when they leave. And a lot of people think that Antonio Brown's just all about talking now. They think that his production is going to go way down. I don't want to draft Antonio Brown. I probably just want to avoid him. Maybe if I'm caught in a desperate spot, like he's the last good receiver on the board. But I look at D-Hop. I look at Julio Jones, I think is consistent.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas.
Devontae Adams is in there.
Smith-Schuster.
Smith-Schuster's in that 10 to 15 range with that.
But I think Smith-Schuster's going to take a big leap. Who else are they going to throw the ball to now? Do you view Odell Beckham as that top-range guy, or do you view him more as a risk?
I think that's a risky pick. I think Baker Mayfield could have that sophomore slump this year. Jarvis Landry's such an outstanding receiver, but like he didn't have that great of a year last year. So I think it's a risky pick.
Too many guys, too.
Too many guys, yeah. He's someone that's too tough to pass on for that second-round pick, but it's definitely risky. And talk about risky picks. What do you think about Todd Gurley?
I would still probably take him because he hasn't sucked yet. As long as Todd Gurley's on the field, you draft Gurley, but then you get the Devery Henderson kid like later on. I think you're sitting pretty. I think that when you look at the backs, I think Le'Veon Bell is more of a risk than anything because you don't know how he's going to fit into Darnold. You don't know how he's going to fit into Adam Gase, so he's kind of like Antonio Brown. I think Saquon and Zeke are pretty damn safe, at the top of the board. I'll tell you the running back that I think is getting first-round looks right now, and that's David Johnson. And DJ hasn't been the same guy, but I just look at Cliff and Kyler and all those screen passes. Like, I loved it. What do you think about David Johnson?
I agree with that too. I like him a lot. He didn't have a great year last year. He was coming off that broken wrist injury. But in the mock draft, he was falling towards 7 and 8. And if you think about the first 6 picks, it was something along the lines of Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey was up there, which is very surprising.
Oh, McCaffrey, yeah.
He's a PPR monster.
He is.
Especially with Cam Newton and his injuries and stuff like that. But, the first 6 picks, or even 7 if you throw David Johnson in there, are going to be running backs. And I always lean towards taking running backs in fantasy.
I'm going to give you 3 teams right now. I'm going to give you the Ravens, the Panthers, and the Texans. Which team do you think takes a big step back this year? What team do you think is going to start to suck a little bit out of those 3 teams? You have to pick one.
I think I have to pick the Panthers. I think they decrease a little bit every year. Cam Newton's so unreliable. Their receiving core is not that great. They lost Devin Funchess to the Colts. Greg Olson's always injury prone with that broken foot injury he's constantly had.
He's old too. He's going to retire.
He's old too. With the thing that always scares me with quarterbacks that scramble is once they leave that pocket, they're so susceptible to get injured. So I don't know how much Cam Newton has in him. I think he's still a fantastic quarterback, great for fantasy because he gets you those rushing touchdowns. But other than him and McCaffrey, I don't know how great they're going to be this year.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Deshaun. Deshaun's been really good in fantasy, but I just don't know about Bill O'Brien anymore. I think that Bill O'Brien's going to end up getting fired. I think all these guys, John Harbaugh, the owner said that Harbaugh was out last year. He had a good he made the playoffs. They had an easy schedule. I look at the Ravens, and I wasn't high on Lamar Jackson before the draft, so I think that people are really thinking that he's going to be absolutely just terrible. And do you see Lamar Jackson as being not good?
I think he's too athletic to not be good.
Really?
I think with
because I think he's going to be bad. I think he's going to be terrible.
I think with the acquisition of Mark Ingram, and then you have Gus Edwards back there. They have a nice running committee. So that's going to take a load off of Lamar to run the ball every.
They got a rookie, Justice Hill, as well.
They do. Did they bring the tree back?
Who's the tree?
Michael Crabtree, is he still there?
Oh, the tree.
'Cause I don't know how great their wide receivers are.
Is he retired almost? But they got Hollywood Brown, actually.
They did.
Marquise.
So,
they also, didn't they get a tight end? Like they have Mark Andrews, they have Hayden Hurst. But let me look at Crabtree. That's really interesting. He's been old for a long time.
Yeah.
The Crab.
The Crab.
He's 31 years old.
I don't even remember. I think he might have retired. I didn't even see him in the mock draft.
Very quiet.
Yeah. If he didn't retire, he's not even a draft selection.
Wait, did you see him in the mock?
No, I did it.
They said they released him.
So
he might be a free agent now. But I guess he was. I guess he was really kind of terrible last year. But let's also talk about the. I agree that Lamar Jackson is I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to be that good. I will be pretty stunned if Lamar Jackson solidifies himself as a really good quarterback. When you look at the rookie quarterbacks, you have the Rosen one, Josh Rosen. You have Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, and Lamar. Baker already kind of had his success. Josh Allen, Who do you view out of those guys? Like, who's going to be the guy to step forward this year?
I think I could see Josh Allen stepping forward. I could see the Bills being a good team. Shady McCoy's been quiet as of late. I could see him having a bounce back year. Like I said, I think Baker's going to have a sophomore slump.
I agree. Too much hype. I think it's too much hype in Cleveland.
I do. I think they have a lot of talent. Their running back committee is interesting to think about because Nick Chubb, everyone loves seeing him in fantasy this year. Duke Johnson is still a stud, and then they have Kareem Hunt who's coming back in Week 5. So
yeah,
curious to see how he's going to play in.
Yeah, but they just have Frederick Kitchens. You know, they have a young head coach, and Steve Wilkes is not that great. I mean, he was the guy who was fired from Arizona. Too much expectations, too much hype. You know, everybody's making fun of the Giants, so maybe it's just a Giant fan in me. But I really look at Cleveland as the team. You know, everybody's picking them to win the division easily over the Steelers. They just view fantasy. They just view the receivers in such high regard. But I think football is more than just like the names on paper.
Right.
I think it's the chemistry too. We're here with Steve Shoemaker. I want to thank you, Steve, for coming in. I wanted to get a couple of thoughts on Summer League. Summer League's coming up soon. Are you excited about Summer League? You're going to watch it? What are your expectations kind of for Summer League?
You know, for the Sixers, it's always a matter of can their players stay healthy? Because there's always someone who gets hurt in the summer league. The defensive guy they just got, I hope he can stay healthy.
Zaire or Thibault?
Thibault.
Yeah.
Zaire, he's second year, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does in the summer league. He's got a lot of hype on him, so I hope he's going to be able to show out for us. I hope Thibault will be able to show out for us. And summer league's always just fun to watch, to see the rookies and what they can do. Excited to see Zion and how he performs in this league.
Yeah, I think it'll be awesome too. I mean, you know, it of course, like, it's almost nothing to gain for Zion because the doubters will still say, well, let's see him in the regular season. So, but I think it's a great time. I even love seeing Jimmer yesterday. Your guy, Kyle guy. He stepped up. You watch him a little bit yesterday?
I did. He looked good out there.
He's got handles.
He's got handles. He's a sharp shooter. We saw that in the tournament.
He makes the extra pass. Like, he makes wise basketball plays. Like, he moves the ball quickly. I want him to get his opportunity. It's kind of a loaded team there, but I want Kyle Guy to get that opportunity.
Yeah, I want to see how he does. It's going to be interesting to see how Ty Jerome does, and then shout out to my boy DeAndre Hunter. It's going to be interesting to see how he does in Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be a good team in the East this year.
The ATL. I love Trae Young, man. I love what they're doing.
You can't count them out this year.
Kev hurt.
In that weak Eastern
Kev hurt. He's got to start. Hunter's got to start.
The old Maryland Turk.
Let's talk about their starting lineup. It's Trae. It's Hunter, Cam, Kevin Huerter, and then John Collins. I guess they need a big guy, right?
I don't think they have Alex Len as their big guy. I don't think Cam Reddish is going to start for them.
He's going to come off the bench.
I think he's going to come off the bench. But
he could beat out Huerter. I want to see Huerter, though. I want to see if he could beat out Huerter. They're actually stacked then. I guess John Collins could be that piece. You could trade him, actually, though.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Because, damn, they have some pieces. But, Steve, man, thanks so much for coming in here.
Thanks
Hope you
for
enjoyed
having
the
me
time,
on, Spence.
man.
And I just wanted to say congratulations to the U.S. women's soccer team. They defeated England 2-1 just now.
It's official?
They're on to the championship.
Oh, damn.
See if they
Gold
can do it again.
medal championship. When's that?
It's gotta be
for all the listeners. Well, listen, congrats, shout out. Guys, shout out to y'all for listening to the show, and thank you guys for popping in and, of course, joining. So, Steve.
It's been a pleasure.
Take care, guys.